And this afternoon, Joy News is learning of some disturbing situations within the northern part of our country, as Boku Central MP Mahama Ayariga is now submitting a petition to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration seeking assistance in, first of all, locating and then securing the release of some 7 Ghanaians currently held in Burkina Faso. These individuals were reportedly arrested by the military authorities in the country and their whereabouts as of now remains unknown. Despite Mr. Ayariga's efforts as their Member of Parliament to secure their release, they have been unable to locate the facility where they've been kept and also unable to secure their return to Ghana. Mahama Ayariga says the individuals crossed into Burkina Faso on October 13 and were assisted by the assembly member for the area in one of the suburbs of Magonde, a community within the B2 district of Burkina Faso. Fortunately, we've been joined now by Mahama Ayariga, who's joining us via Zoom to have a brief conversation on this. Thank you, sir, for spending some time with us here on The Pulse. Many of us are unaware of the circumstances under which these individuals crossed, but what official briefings have you received as Member of Parliament on the circumstances leading to their crossing to the other side in Burkina Faso?
Thank you very much for giving time and space to this story. 7 people, and I have circulated their names and their photographs, who own cattle that were being headed by some Fulani herdsmen. The Fulani herdsmen, crossed over to the Burkina side with the cattle, and then military personnel from the Burkinabe armed forces came, fired gunshots, in the process even killed 2 Fulani herdsmen. And then they drove all the cattle to the nearest town, which is Bitu. Bitu is a town on the other side of the border with Boku in Burkina Faso. So there was an announcement in Bitu that the owners of the cattle should come and identify their cattle so that they will return the animals to them. And so these 7 residents of Boku, whose cattle were among those that were driven to Bitu town, actually went to the municipal assembly, got a letter of introduction, and went across and tried to identify the location of the animals. They were directed to the village where the animals were kept. And on their way there, the last story we heard is that some military officers stopped them. They were having some interrogation and discussions and etc. Others saw them and passed by. And since then, they've not been seen again. All effort to locate them, even within Burkina Faso, has been futile. The local government authorities, they are not giving us any information. Nobody knows their whereabouts. So we're asking the Minister of Foreign Affairs to reach out to their counterparts in Ouagadougou so that the government of Burkina Faso, the military authorities, can cause some investigation in that area so we can locate where these 7 individuals are.
Do you suspect that the reason for which these individuals might have crossed into the other side, Burkina Faso, is simply because of their commercial interest? Is that a known trading line of cattle within the community where they crossed over?
Well, it's just to go and identify their cattle and then return them to Ghana. And there was an announcement by the Burkinabe authorities in Bitu that if your cattle was among those that they arrested and took to that village where they were kept, you should come and identify them so that they will give them back to you. So they went to identify their animals with a view to retrieving them and then returning them to Ghana. That was the only reason why they crossed to the other side. As you will know, Boku and then Boku borders Burkina Faso. So a lot of the communities, are so close that they have family on either side, they have business on either side. Sometimes when people are rearing animals, they may not even know exactly
We'll just get some updates for you shortly from the Member of Parliament who've just gone off the line. But the latest we're receiving is that these 7 individuals are nowhere to be found after they crossed into Burkina Faso. For now, a petition has been sent to the Foreign Ministry, and that's where we left off, Honourable the MP. Apologies because we lost you briefly. Now the point about the petition you sent to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Exactly what's the demand, and how soon would you want them to act on this matter?
The reason is that we've been trying to use other channels and we've met roadblocks. The Municipal Security Council is unable to engage directly with the local government on the other side of the border. The Regional Security Council, RECSEC, hasn't really been able to make progress. I have spoken to senior military personnel on the Ghana side. They all say, as we've heard the story, but we have no way of finding out what has happened on the other side of the border. So it appears that it goes beyond Interior Ministry or national security here. It's now a matter that I believe the Foreign Affairs Ministry will use all the channels available to them to be able to get counterparts on the Burkina Faso side to look into the matter, send word to B2, and then find out exactly what has happened to them, their whereabouts, and then we can then find a way of getting them back to Ghana.
The fear about what's happening in Burkina Faso as we speak, that country is under full military control now. Don't you fear as well that might be a setback in that speedy location and also facilitation of their return to Ghana?
Well, I'm sure even though there are some portions of the country that have been under some terrorist attack, including that part of the country, it seems that the military has regained control over that portion of the country. So I believe that, and we're told that those who stopped them were actually military officers. If they were bandits or jihadists, our informants would have told us, but they were actually members of the armed forces of Burkina Faso. So it means that if the authorities in Ouagadougou reach out to the units that are in that part of the country, they can cause an investigation as to the location of these persons.
Personally, you're a member of the ECOWAS Parliament, I believe. I'm sure you've been trying your own diplomatic lines to try and reach out to the Burkina Faso authorities. What sort of response are you getting?
Well, unfortunately, because of the military coup, the parliament in Burkina Faso has been shut down. So all parliamentarians have lost their jobs. I have tried to reach out to 1 or 2 friends. Many of them really, I believe, they honestly told me they were unable to help because they don't really have relations with the military junta. So they couldn't really, be of any help. I have reached out to a chief on the other side of the border, and for several days, he really couldn't give me any concrete information about the whereabouts. And that is why finally I just thought that we needed to activate formal diplomatic ties that we may have. I believe that the Foreign Affairs Ministry will have a way. We have an ambassador in Burkina Faso, and if the foreign minister should instruct the ambassador to travel to that part of the country and then carry out some inquiries and report back, I'm sure we'll get some indication. We've given the names of the locations and the persons involved in the district and even the village. So I believe that, the authorities there can easily cause an investigation.
In the meantime, the families of the victims, what plans do you have for them? And I'm just imagining how they're feeling right now.
Well, they are naturally devastated, and there's nothing I can do beyond working as hard as we can to locate them and return them back home. I'm sure that is the main thing that the family will be looking for.
And as we wrap up this conversation, one more time, your message to the Foreign Ministry, and what would you want all Ghanaians to know about the situation that we're hearing?
Well, basically, it is what I have indicated, that Ghanaians went on the other side and then they cannot be located, they cannot be found. and they haven't come back home since the 13th of last last month. So this is a worrisome matter, and I believe that as a country we have a responsibility to look out for our citizens and then secure their safe return home.
I thought that would have been the last, but do you suspect, and that might be the very last leg of our conversation, do you suspect any remote connection to, bandits or violent extremists who may be acting on the other side of the border? Because the president has raised that concern before about how insecure and volatile that region is.
Yes, that region was insecure and volatile for a while, but the district in which my constituents went into, I believe, is under the control of the regular military of Burkina Faso. And as I indicated, eyewitnesses who last spotted them said they were seen in the presence of the military, the regular armed forces of Burkina Faso. Our people will know if they have met bandits, if they encountered jihadists and etc. Our people would have known. As I've indicated, there was actually a formal announcement by the military in Bitu that if your animal is among those that were arrested by them, you should come and identify your animals and then take it. And so they went on the basis and on the strength of that announcement. So we are praying that it has nothing to do with bandits and etc. We are praying that maybe they are in the custody of the military. Maybe they suspected them of something and have arrested them. We're praying that it is something like that so that we can, get them released and then return back home.
And just by way of caution, we don't know for a fact, but looking at that common trade within your constituency, some other, cattle herders may want to cross over again to check if their, cattle is on the other side of the border. What message of caution do you have for them, knowing that these 7 already have been arrested?
Well, as you know, our borders are very porous. And the communities along the borders tend sometimes to be economically and socially integrated and linked. So it is not that easy to live in these border towns and then adhere to a strict, regulation as to don't go across, because sometimes they actually have family members on the other side. They cross over to attend funerals, to attend marriage ceremonies and outdoorings and etc. And then their economies are sometimes even integrated. You will have a market day on the Ghana side, and then you have a market day on the Burkina Faso side. And so you have many people in Boku who attend the B2 market, which is the market of the town on the other side. So every market day, tracks of, traders will cross over and attend the market the same way that, people from the Burkina Faso side on market days in Bokuta will also cross over and sell their cattle and animals and then cross back with their monies. So we are economically and then socially, related. And so it's difficult to say, don't cross the borders. But they understand the security situation on that part of the country, and they've been cautious, except that, you can never be too cautious.
All the best, and hope that we'll get some formal response from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Grateful for spending some time with us. MP for Boku Central, Mahama Ayariga, speaking to us there this afternoon. In the health sector, pressure is mounting on government to release the needed funds to the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital to help manage their existing debt and also allow the health facility to reopen the renal dialysis unit to outpatients. It's coming at a time when the CEO of Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Pukuwari Ampoma, is revealing that the unit owes 4 million cedis, the reason for which the renal dialysis unit was shut out to patients. Here is more.
we've been under recovering for some time now. As I said, our prices were set about 3 years ago. So this, and you should also appreciate where we've come from. When dialysis started in Kolebu, the average cost per session was around about $100 per session, equivalent of $100. And now the price has come down considerably. As of today, but the current, we are under recovering for the current price. And so we also need to, much as we sympathize with the patients, we also need to keep the service sustainable. And so First Sky support has been very, very tremendous in helping us to be able to provide service for about 80%, free dialysis for 80% of the patients that we treat. Unfortunately, because of the increase in the cost of the consumables, not the increase in the cost as such, because in Forex it's the same, but when it comes to the CD equivalent, it's gone up. So we need to make those adjustments. And so that is so. In fact, as we stand now, the renal unit has a deficit or has a financial deficit of 4 million cedis that we need to, that we are trying to find ways of.
Is that debt?
Yes, that's
or you
debt.
owe a supplier?
No, it's debt. Yes, debt that we owe.
How do you accrue that? How was that accrued?
It's because of the under recovery from the service that we are providing, and so to continue to run at full throttle would mean that with this debt is going to balloon. Okay, and that is why there was a need for us to look at adjusting the price, whilst we also engage with the next relevant stakeholders to see how best this deficit can be met.
On that thought leadership roundtable, presidential advisor on health, Dr. Nsia Saring, assured that government will intervene and deal with the situation. Sadly, the situation remains the same. Frustrated members of the Kidney Patients Association say their lives are hanging on the thread as the renal dialysis unit at Kolebu Teaching Hospital remains closed to outpatients. They are asking for help.
Kidney patients who patronize the Kolebu Teaching Hospital's renal unit for dialysis were full of hope following the assurance by health authorities that they will intervene to reopen the unit to OPD following Joy News' fourth leadership program on the dialysis crisis. After several weeks of assurance, the unit still remains closed, causing distress among people with kidney conditions. The affected patients say their conditions keep worsening by the day. Reverend Daniel Hammond speaks for the patients.
As we speak, the cabin is still closed to outpatients, and that is having a devastating effect on the patients. The death toll has risen from 14 patients of our last press conference to 19 patients. Lives are being lost needlessly due to the lack of adequate dialysis.
They are making a passionate appeal to the government to expedite its intervention in order to restore the unit to its former state.
We humbly appealing to the government again to help us and ensure these four things. One, to provide the needed support for the unit at Kolebu to settle indebtedness of 4 million Ghana cedi to suppliers, so that OPD cases can resume at Kolebu renal unit immediately.
Aside from the appeal to government to open the renal to OPD, the patients are appealing to corporate Ghana, NGOs, religious organizations, and philanthropists to assist them in footing their medical bills.
Well, let's get more on this. Joining us now is a member of the Kidney Patients Association of Ghana, Kujobafo Ahinkra, who's also part of the leadership mounting pressure on the management of the hospital to deal with this situation. Kujo, it's a good time to be talking to you because many just do not understand the gravamen of the issue at stake, the fact that your health matters most at this time. How challenging is it for a renal patient trying to assess healthcare at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital now?
Thank you very much. Currently, there is nothing like there's accessibility there for the outpatient. Right? I mean, let me be more specific about outpatient. We are normally about 250. The place was closed down to us May 22nd of this year. And as we speak now, it's still not open.
And for the information of the public, many are not aware that this is just part of the very few centers that treat carry out the dialysis treatment.
Yes.
How bad is the situation now for many of your members?
Very bad, because, Kolebu, because it's a public place, the price was a bit more moderate, like what you just paid. Right. But those outside are now private, and they are charging to make profit. So you can imagine, the least you can get is about around 600 per section. Most of us are doing 2 to 3 sessions a week. Ideally, the NC people are supposed to do 3 sessions a week. But because of financial constraints, all of them are doing 2 sessions a week now. Yeah. So it's very, very, very bad.
I recall you being part of that thought leadership program we did here on the Joy News platform. Yes. The CEO of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital was here. The assurance was given that the problems will be dealt with. You're surprised that nothing is happening?
Sure. Nothing. I have been speaking with the Kolebu CEO. All what he made me understood that there are things in place. They are working on things. Because if you quite remember, they said that if they are supposed to go by the 380, that is the old price, then there will be some cutoff, which they need to refund that money. So the analysis that he does was that money will be like around 900 and something. I've forgotten the figure. That if they allow us to do the 380, yes. So he's saying, and then there's another option that either we go for 550. That one too, there's supposed to be a subsidy of about 400 and something. That one. So now the thing is on the table for government to choose whether we are doing the 380 or we are doing the 550. Still, we've not had anything.
As renal patients, are you willing to take up the full cost if it will mean that the center would be reopened?
Nobody can sustain that.
Right.
It's not sustainable, because the dialysis is a lifetime something, unless you go for transplant. So maybe if you're not going for transplant, you are going to be on the machine. For me, I've been on the machine 8 years. My account is 0.
That will mean more cost to you.
Yes, more cost. Now my account is 0. So even if you have thousands of money, the more you go. So if some does not come to add up to it, there you go. So the best thing we can do, the government have to step in. We are appealing to him. We can't fight him. We can't do anything. But we are losing lives. As at the time we did the first presser, it was 14. Now we have 19 people gone.
Right.
So you can imagine. We don't even know. We heard this news from Dr. Okuboy that they were supposed to move to the
NHI. That was another consideration on the table. Any news yet?
We all heard from Dr. Okuboy is going to take them between 6 to 12 months. That is a year. So you can imagine within that time the number of people that we are dying. So there should be something. Something should come up right now, so that whilst they are constrained that, at least, those with the kidney cases can have some lives in them, because it's not.
It must be really challenging for you. We're wrapping up the conversation, but you are also in that lived experience. What message do you have to the authorities who are watching us now, and what would you want them to know about how delicate and serious this issue is?
Okay, thank you. It's three things that we are appealing to the government to do. The first thing, they should look at the taxes on the consumables and the dialysis machine. Now, let me do this simple mathematics. If they say, okay, they are going to help Kolebu, just in Accra here, we have about 10 to 15 dialysis centers. All of them have their patients. Now, any sensible person, once Kolebu begins to do something very good, everybody will move to Kolebu. So the pressure will be on Kolebu. So if the taxes are moved off from the consumable, the private sectors can also bring their prices down, whereby people can easily go there to afford it. That is the first point. Secondly, if the government really is going to do about the subsidy, please, they should fast track it for us. We beg them. And then lastly, you see, we are begging these big churches and other villages. We are begging them. This church, Baker's Chapel, Bodin Yabiche, came to do some donation to us. They should emulate from him. The Church of Pentecost, ICGC, Duncan Williams. They should take one Sunday, when they collect all the correction, they should come and give it to us. So that at least it can also pay the 4 million the Kolebu CEO was also talking about. These are the 3 points we'll put across. We are just...
I see. And that challenges on Joy News is definitely joining the challenge. Could you thank you? And stay strong. We'll definitely be raising that awareness. You can also support the renal patients so they can support the dialysis treatment. We will be crossing over shortly to the EC's press briefing, but just before we even do that, I almost forgot about this, the point about dealing with the other health facilities, those of your members who are up north. What are you advising them as a society to be doing now, even as this center is not available? Because many of them have to come from up north down south.
Per the information we have, the Tamale Regional Hospital has got some, I think about 5 machines, which they are doing it there. But I learned the patient rates keep going up. So once again, the government to all the regional hospitals, they should put dialysis machines, because in our case in Korle Bu, we have about 2 people. One is coming from Begro in the eastern region. Another one is coming from Kibi in the eastern region to come and do the dialysis in Accra. So if Koforidua is having maybe about 6 or 10 machines there, they wouldn't travel all the way to Accra, you see. Yeah. And then those of us in Accra to find Kumasi is doing well. But one thing is that those people, they are still maintaining their charges, but Korle Bu keep going. But I understand Korle Bu. The machines that we are using is one of the latest, the Physianos has given it to us. And so once you go on it and you finish, you can see that
it's easier, right?
Yeah, Clarence.
But the private health facilities, is there anything, any window in terms of negotiation that you can explore with them? In the meantime, have you tried that?
Oh, I mean, they have already gone for the consumables. Right. They've paid taxes on them. So you don't expect them to lose. The only thing I would suggest is that I think Korle Bu or maybe Ghana Health Service, or they should get a monitoring team to monitor these private dialysis centers, because some of them, I'm not an expert, but what I know is that I think they are not doing well. They are not doing well with the treatment. I mean, dialysis is about water treatment. It entails a lot. If the water is not good, you are even killing the patient. Right. You are even killing the patient. So that is another thing I'll also put across, that they should get a monitoring team to be monitoring these private dialysis centers. Because we cannot have any negotiation with them. He is going to bring his things down. He wants his money. You don't expect him to lose. Even if Korle Bu wants to break even, how much my private center?
In the coming days, what should we expect from you? Since you're pointing to us that, well, you've tried, you've spoken to the CEO, you've tried other means, you don't seem to be getting any result. Is there anything you're planning to do as an association to raise more awareness?
Oh, yes. What we are trying to do now, I think we need to go to the private sector. Since it's all about money, the churches, like I just put that pay like that. That's what we want to go to them. Like he said, First Sky is doing a lot for us. I think he has done a lot for us. But one person. So we'll be going to the churches, other private organizations, to appeal to them if they can help us to clear that 4 million, which Dr. Nsia, as I promised, we've not heard this from them. That we promise if we can clear that debt, and then we want to have a fund so that maybe some donations can be going in, so we can fall on it to be supporting.
Well, Kojo, we'll definitely be on this matter and engage again. You're watching The Pulse here on the Joy News channel. We're taking a break, but when we return, we'll tell you about the Electoral Commission's plan towards creating some new constituencies going into the 2024 elections. Chairperson of the Commission, Jean Mensah, will be addressing a press briefing a few minutes from now. Live pictures there of the headquarters as you see. When we return, we'll take you there. Please stay. For staying with us here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel, we need to bring you an update on a developing story on the South African Church of Pentecost, the TAP, where the Ghana's High Commission in South Africa is now confirming to us that the deacon who has been kidnapped has now officially, as the sources are indicating to us, been released. Also, these are the pictures that we saw circulating and going viral on social media, where that deacon at the Church of Pentecost in South Africa was then attacked by some unknown gunmen, with the Commission asking all Ghanaians resident in Johannesburg to be cautious out there. Well, fortunately, there's an update, even though the church says it will continue to pray and to fast for all Christians around the world. Today is also a significant point in the relations between the Republic of Ghana and South Africa, as the reciprocal visa waiver arrangement is taking effect today. And that's why we're fortunate to be joined now by Charles Oredu, who is the Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, joining us in studio now. It's such a pleasure to be talking to you, sir. And Akwaba, you know, you've been busy moving up and down
after this meeting in South Africa. Was it this year?
This year, exactly.
The BRICS Summit,
the BRICS Summit, indeed. And I just disappeared. Now you're appearing before us again. But it's good news, first of all, to point out that now, at least, we found the deacon. How did that happen, first of all?
So, thank you. So, after that unfortunate news, we quickly had to activate, you know, the processes of calming down Ghanaians. And then because a lot of Ghanaians were jittery, people were shaking, they wanted to find out what was happening. After us informing the foreign minister about the incident, normally that's what we are supposed to do. Yeah. I summoned my team, and then we decided to issue a statement. So if you saw that first statement that was issued, that statement was to allay the fears of Ghanaians, because we had made contact with the police, and then they had told us that they were on top of the game, they were on top of the issue, and that we should just calm down. So that notice sought to calm the nerves of Ghanaians. And then subsequently, we engaged the church authorities, meaning the leadership of the Pentecost Church in Johannesburg, and then also the family. Yesterday in the evening, we were there when we got wind from the police that they freed the victim, the deacon, and that he's been sent to his family. People are asking whether monies were paid, whether they, but then I tell them that that's none of my business. Right. I'm interested in securing the Ghanaian, you know. So once the person is secured, whatever happened, I'm not privy to that information. So I cannot say anything to that.
But what official accounts were you given by South Africa's law enforcement agencies as to probably the identity of these gunmen involved in the exercise, and what more official reports are you receiving? So
at that time, they told me they were still investigating. Right. So then when they called, and then they said that, okay, they freed, you know, now our brother is freed, and then he's been sent back to the family. I started asking questions, but then they said, okay, they were still doing the investigations, and that we should hold on. As and when they finalize everything, they will let us know. So for me, like I told you earlier, I'm happy that he's back home, he's free, he's now with his family. Whatever there is, you know, later, we will look at it and then take it as an opportunity to beef up security, take care of ourselves better. And then because I still tell Ghanaians that nobody can provide that security that you need better than yourself. The South African government will do their best, but you are your own security. So as you go about your duties, please watch your left, watch your right. I always say that this is what happened to me is an outlier. Right. You know, I've been in South Africa as the High Commissioner over 2 years, 6 months. And this is the first time I've seen this brazen, you know, attack, you know, on worshippers, where people were robbed of their monies and their jewelries and whatnot. I believe that I've, you know, traveled a lot. My background as a former deputy foreign minister, I've visited a lot of countries. And then South Africa is not different, you know, from some of the things, pockets of, you know, criminality that you see across the globe. Yes, but then generally, South Africa is a beautiful country. You know, Cape Town to me is the most beautiful city in the world. I've visited a lot of cities, and I can tell you, you were there, and then I'm already preaching to the converted. Yes. Apart from that, the opportunities there for Ghanaians. Yes, that's why you have a lot of Ghanaians.
We'll talk about the visa regime which is taking effect today, but what's the caution to the Ghanaian community now? Because in your previous statement, you asked them to be cautious, you know, when moving out these days.
Yeah, still, like I told you earlier, you need to take care of your own security. The South African government will do their best, but you need to take care of your own security. Wherever you go, you know, you watch your left, you watch your right. And now, with the last conversation that I had with the leader of the church, of Pentecost in Johannesburg, he told me that now they're going to beef up security at the church. In Ghana, most of our churches do have security. in Ghana.
Right.
Yes, if you visit most of the churches, they have security people stationed in front of the church and in front of the premises, and then as you enter, the main church hall. But South Africa.
So this was not the case in this very attack. They had no security.
They had somebody, but then not something that you can say that a well-trained security person. But now they'll just beef up, and then it's also a wake-up call to all the other churches in South Africa that now these days, hitherto we thought that people could not enter the house of God and then do what they did. But then people are doing this, so we need to beef up security in those.
Well, this is also raising concerns, and I'm sure you've seen some of the comments on social media, questioning what exactly your team is doing there in South Africa to secure the interest of Ghanaians abroad. In this very case, do you take any responsibility? The fact that, as you're pointing to us, they were just released. You did not pay any ransom to get them released.
Yeah, so if you say we should take the I don't know what responsibility you want the High Commission to take.
Right.
Because we don't provide law and order, that's done by the state police. Right. We can just augment that what the state police does. As I go around engage in the Ghanaian community, I've taught all the provinces in South Africa.
Right.
In everywhere that I've been, I've met the Ghanaian community. I've told them that we need to be each other's keeper. We need to provide security for ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves. And then I think that by and large, the Ghanaian community in South Africa have conducted themselves really, really well. I've been in South Africa over 2 years, 6 months. I've never had any report of a Ghanaian involved in any criminal act. Right. So I think that probably what we've been telling them is sinking, and then they are conducting themselves really well. But these things do happen. And then when they happen, we learn from them, and then we use that as a stepstone, to beef up our security.
It's good that you're in Ghana today. Are you meeting the leadership of the Church of Pentecost here? Is that part of the plan?
That's the plan.
Right.
And then I just got in, and then your people, the media, all over, they want interviews and all that. So once I'm done, you are going to be the last media organization that I'm having this interaction with. We've made some contacts. We'll meet them, tell them what we're also doing on our own. But by and large, I think that the matter is under investigation by the police, because now that they've secured the release of the victim, what about the robbery? So it's something that the police is seized with, and then they are working on.
And the issues of robbery has also been of concern to some of the Ghanaians living in South Africa that we spoke to. Have you conveyed that message to the South African government as well?
Oh, of course, there are some pockets. I would not say that it's something that is taken over, as a culture in South Africa. No, I wouldn't say that because I live there. And that generally the security is not bad. The government is doing its best, to provide security to the people. But sometimes you have some elements, some rogue elements, who would want to do this criminal activities. But then government is doing its best. We're also telling Ghanaians anytime we meet them that they need to, provide their own security. If I say provide their own security, it's not about them also having guns and but then take care of themselves really well. Don't go to where you're not expected to go. And they cast across everywhere. Even in Ghana, there are some places that you cannot walk in the night and then, expect to be to go, scot-free. Just that you just manage yourself in such a way that you are not found wanting.
I see. The belief is this is overshadowing, what's happening today. The fact that Ghana has successfully secured an MOU with the South African government to run this reciprocal visa arrangement. This is now allowing Ghanaians to freely move into South Africa, and also South Africans moving in today. Don't you feel that this incident has overshadowed the beauty of what's happening today?
I totally disagree. Whatever happened is unfortunate. But then I think that the news last night, of the release of the victim has sort of served as an impetus to the operationalization of this visa waiver agreement that we signed with the South African government. We did a test run the last week, and then everything seemed perfect. So yesterday I posted on Twitter, and then I gave some numbers. that if you should encounter any problem at the point of entry in South Africa, please do call these numbers.
Yeah.
This morning I've checked and I've been told that it was very, very smoothly done.
Right.
All Ghanaians that arrived this morning in South Africa, without visa, because that's what the agreement is supposed to be. They were just ushered in. They had their own queue, a very fast queue. Whilst others that had visas, were in long queues. They just went through the processes and then they just exited. So I think that it's a good thing for trade, for business. That we do a lot of trade with South Africa. Most of these big companies here are South African companies. It's going to step up that, relationship that we have with them. People-to-people contact. South Africans are desirous of spending Christmas in Ghana. Ghana is the hotbed for Christmas in Africa. And then this year, you're going to see an influx of South Africans here, to celebrate Christmas. This would sort of solidify or cement that already burgeoning relationship that we have with the South Africans. So I will not take it if somebody tells me that whatever happened, is going to mar.
Right. So by way of education, because a lot of people are watching, excited about the fact that, I'm just moving in free of charge into South Africa. What do they need to be mindful of as they, take advantage of this window?
Okay, so it's a 90-day visa waiver. That is cumulative.
Right.
Cumulative means that anytime you visit South Africa, it will be subtracted from the 90 days within a year.
Right.
So you have 90-day calendar year. If you decide to visit South Africa for 10 days, it will be subtracted from the 90. So now you are left with 80 days. Right. You visit again, you are left with whatever days that you decide to spend. If you should exhaust all the 90 days within the calendar year, and you still would want to visit South Africa, you need to go for a visa.
After the
exhaustion of the 90 days, you need to go for a fresh visa from the High Commission here in Accra. Right. You have two options. You can decide to do it one shot, visit South Africa and spend 90 days and then come home.
Or do it thought by thought. Mm-hmm.
And
even if you want to take all 90, it will not be possible this year because the 90 will not.
No, it's a calendar year.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, right. So it will not be possible for you to take advantage of the 90.
So that, and again, the validity of your passport, it shouldn't be less than 6 months.
Okay.
So if you know your passport is less than 6 months, please go and renew your passport. Right. Luckily, these days we have 10-year passports.
Right.
So go and renew. And then you can benefit.
Sounds really exciting. But what's the point of interest for our country? What do we stand to benefit, knowing that this agreement is coming into force?
Yeah, so you're going to have a lot of businesses from South Africa, who would want to come to Ghana and then forge partnerships, because that's what we want. Being in South Africa, I've met a lot of conglomerates, big. You've been there, big businesses. Who would want to visit Ghana. But sometimes they even complain about the visa regime. Yeah, so when they come, they issue visa, they would have to come. For business, they don't want these. Yeah. They just want to just pick their passport and because every day that you delay, it affects, productivity. So this is going to help. Again, for those of us who would want to visit, just go and then visit, that's also a very good opportunity for you. You don't have to. For the past 2 or 3 months, what happened? Ghanaians who wanted visas from the South African High Commission had to go there and all that. But now, we've eased the process. And then, so we are expecting that trade volumes between the two countries will increase as a result of this. We're also expecting that the people-to-people contact will also increase. And then once we do that, the opportunities that come out of it, it will be to the mutual benefit of these two countries.
And at the continental level, this has been lauded because it's giving further impetus to the African Union's protocol on the free movement of individuals. We've seen Kenya, for instance, express that willingness to expand and taking all Africans by the end of the year. Do you feel that this is something Ghana should also be considering, expanding more, liberalizing our regime more for more and more people to come through?
As we speak now, we have a lot of such arrangements with a lot of the African countries. I handle 5 countries: Seychelles, Lesotho, Mauritius, Eswatini, and then South Africa. All these 5 countries, you don't need visas to enter, if you're a Ghanaian. So that in itself is a plus. Now we've added Mozambique. Apart from Mozambique, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania.
South of the way, yes.
So there are a lot of these countries. ECOWAS is there. in all the 15 countries, you don't need visas to enter each other's country. So that arrangement is already in place. But then, like you're saying, it will be good for us, free movement. We want to see a lot of such movement so that as an African, you don't have to get a visa and then you enter into your neighbor's country. Just because it helps, businesses. And that's what we all want to see happen. Because as businesses flourish, unemployment will reduce, a lot of opportunities will be created in these countries. And that's what we all want to see.
There are those on the other side as well who say we're opening up too much. We've allowed the Continental Free Trade Area headquarters to be here. We're allowing more and more people on the international scene to come into our system. Is there any negative side to this?
Of course, for any of such things, you need to be mindful that some rogue elements may take advantage. Now, look at what's happening in the Sahel region already. So you don't want to compound the situation. But that's why we have like the Accra initiative, for example. It's really working where they share intelligence. So that if you are somebody who has been declared a persona non grata, you are not allowed to infiltrate. So I think that the benefits outweigh the negatives. So we should take advantage if it presents itself as a nation.
What will be your message to the Ghanaian community out there in South Africa and those living here in Ghana?
So I would always say that South Africa is a beautiful country. The opportunities in South Africa, if you ask Ghanaians who've been in South Africa, some have made it, but some are also struggling. That's life. People travel to the US, they travel to the UK, they travel to a lot of these countries hoping to make it. But then some do end up making, others also are not lucky. So we can't take South Africa out of this mix. Again, in terms of the security challenges, I agree that it's something that we should be mindful of as a people. So I'm urging Ghanaians that please be each other's keeper, look out for each other, and then let's stay safe in South Africa. I know that, like they say, home sweet home. But now we are out there trying to make a living, for ourselves and then our families back home. Let's try to be law-abiding. I was saying that there was an argument that we were raising when we were negotiating for this. We wanted to say that Ghanaians already in South Africa who had, those who had overstayed and then had no criminal record, we wanted them to be given some form of amnesty so that they can regularize their stay. That didn't work out this time. But then we are hopeful that when the review, when time for review comes up, we may have a second look at this. Because there are so many Ghanaians that I've met who are contributing to the economy of South Africa, doing really, really well, law-abiding, no criminal record and all. Why can't we give them an amnesty?
Indeed.
Yes, their only crime was to seek green opportunities. So I think that once we meet again for a review of this agreement, this is something that we may want to put across, for the South African side to have a look at.
And indeed, congratulations on the streets. We are looking forward to more vacations and also other activities in South Africa.
South Africa again. This time you will not run away.
Not at all. I won't do that.
I'll host you.
And Charles Loredo is the
High
Commissioner of Ghana in South Africa, joining us here on the Pulse. It's a good time to cross you over to the Electoral Commission's headquarters, where Samuel Tete, the Deputy EC Commissioner in charge of operations, is addressing a news conference. As you see there, we're crossing over now.
Thank you.
We would like to use this forum to thank you, the media, for the support you gave to the work of the Electoral Commission. We are again entreating you to use your media organizations to promote the district assembly elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tizé. We want to go ahead with the question and answers. I want you to do the tree summary. What did we do the last time? I'll do the tree summary. Questions. Let's go. Right, so we will have the questions
So, as the practice has always been, please come this way, what as a person. You identify yourself by mentioning your name and organization you represent, so you ask your person. When we are done, we will give the opportunity for the non-English speaking stations, especially the key to also come out with their questions, and Commissioner will respond to them so they can also benefit from the whole session. And so please, let's do the needful. It's time for your questions. If you have any question, come up this way and let's take it. Okay.
For the avoidance of doubt, I thought I heard it. My name is Michael, I'm with the Journeys. For the avoidance of doubt, I thought I heard one line that talks about people who register this presentation go to the district offices. So, are the exhibition stations the same as the polling stations, or the places that these people ordinarily will be voting? And again, how do you intend to circumvent those who went to say the offices, the district office at the time of registration, which is this year, and where exactly they'll be voting? If you take a place say like Bangladesh in the school, there are about 3 or 4 voting centers there. So how would the person know which exact place they are registered when they are registered at the district office?
Right.
Good afternoon, please. My name is Noble. I work with TV3. And I have a few questions. My first will be in relation to the 15% charge for the short code for the verification. I want to ask if it has gone through the so the fees and miscellaneous provisions bill 2022, if it has gone through that and it has been approved. I have 2 questions, Deputy Commissioner. This will be the first would be for residents in the affected areas of the Kosovo Dance Village. Clearly, they lost everything. So they lost their voters' ID cards, any documents that would be able to help them in any form of registration. What plans does the Commission have for these affected residents? My next question, Commissioners, is that will be my last, is in relation to CI 128. There are concerns that it was not gazetted. So can we get a response from the Commission on how that has gone, coming on the back of the new CI that the Commission has sent to Parliament for review of the Parliament proceeding? Thank you.
Parliamentary constituencies.
Good afternoon. Now we see from Oman. My question has to do with the short code. I would like to know that the short code, how long is it going to last? I mean, the time frame for the short code. Is this something that's going to be there and we can check it any time, or it will go in accordance with the time stipulated for the exhibition? Thank you.
2024.
I think we'll take the questions.
Okay, so the first question is with respect to those people who registered at the district offices and then maybe the polling stations that they were placed. See, the reason why I said that those who registered in 2023 should not go to the district office is very simple. You may think that because at that time the registration center was the district office, you may be tempted to go to the district office. However, when the applicant went to the district office to register, he was asked where he stays and if he has evidence of maybe the police stations that he registered into. So the registration officers registered them into polling stations at where they reside. And if you give your location vividly, you are put into the correct polling stations. So that is the reason why I said they shouldn't go to the district office, because it is not an exhibition center. The polling stations are designated as what? Exhibition centers. So all polling stations are designated exhibition centers. And it is very, very important for those who registered in 2023, because the exercise was done at the district office, to go and then check and then find out not only the correction of their details, but to also know exactly where they are placed. So that if it is something like police station A, B, or C, or whatever, you will be able to know that this is the police station that I was registered into. The second, let me look at the second one, the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. As for other particulars, I can't actually speak to that. But if it is the voter ID card that you have lost, if your name is properly entered into the voters register, you can still vote without the voters ID card. So whether you have the voters ID card or not, on the day of the election, if you are able to know the police, the difficulty is that if you go to the wrong police station, you are going to waste everybody's time, because we'll be going through the register, through, and then we may not be finding you and all that. But if you go to the right police station, your name will be on the register and you'll be allowed to vote. The 50 pesos charge is not part of what we sent to Parliament for under the fees and the service charge or what. I think this one is part of the services that he rendered by the service provider. You were talking about the CI 128, which is I think the parliamentary constituencies. What we did was that, the CI which is amending the 128 to enable us to create the Guan constituency was sent to Parliament. So in the process, definitely it will be gazetted. It is not the EC which is responsible for gazetting. So the Attorney General Office will take those necessary steps to do the gazetting for the CI to go through, assuming that the Commission would want to create the constituency. The other one is the short code. For how long is it going to last? Throughout the exhibition period, and at the same time till the end of the year. So from this time up to the end of the year, the short code will be in use. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any questions? We can allow for second round of questions. Please, this way. Just want to find out the short code. I want you to hammer on that again. What is it meant for? And then secondly, is that you are allowing the electorate or the prospective voters to
The live pictures there from the Electoral Commission's headquarters, Samuel Tite, Deputy EC Chair, addressing the press on the creation of some new constituencies and giving updates on some of the activities of the Commission, which we'll bring to you subsequently in our bulletins. But it's good time now to talk about this, because this week the Ghana Chamber of Mines is celebrating what they call the Safety Week, and guess what? They are introducing a health competition called the National Intermines First Aid and Safety Competition. The competition is designed to educate mine workers, also host communities and citizenry on basic first aid tips, as well as to foster some consciousness of safety in our everyday life. So why don't we talk about this? Joining me in studio now is Nana Ando and Adelaide Youngson. We also have Nana Ando, who's the environment consultant to the Ghana Chamber of Mines, and Adelaide Youngson is the occupational health and safety superintendent for the Precious Mining Ghana Limited. They are both joining us in studio, and it's a good time to welcome you, Nana and Lady, for joining us in studio.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's talk about the need for safety. Very often, Ghanaians are flippant about that, Nana, because you find us feeling that God will take control almost all the time. So we throw first aid and safety away. But why is it so important for our everyday life? Why do we need to be cautious about safety?
Well, thank you very much. And I think the first thing is that normally we say your life, it's in your hands, okay? So safety is taking care of yourself, being very conscious of exactly what you are doing, because lack of safety brings a whole lot of things. You can get injured, you can get sick, So these are things. So this year, our theme is that safety every day. That implies that you have a healthy living all the time.
I see. Right. So, Adelaide, what are some of the activities for us to expect in terms of what you'd be carrying out in the course of the period?
Okay, so as Nana rightly said,
yes.
We started this on zonal basis. We had the zonal among the mining companies. So those who emerge as winners now would meet as for the national competition. So we'll first have the orals on the national GBC.
Okay.
Then we have the practical section. The intent is to educate the community and the citizenry of the first aid, because we realize most of our people are not exposed to these first aid things.
Okay, so this will be open to everybody in terms of the competition? Or you have selected, some...
Okay, so what I said earlier, we have different mining companies that are competing.
Right, so it's not open to the general...
No, it's
not,
for the
mining companies. Okay, for how long will you be running this in terms of the activities to mark, the safety week?
Well, the history behind this safety competition is it dates as far back as in the 70s.
Right.
And the idea is that initially, safety consciousness even on the mining companies was such that people will even discourage their workers from working in the mine, because they say that place is a death trap. You go there,
danger zone.
A danger zone. So it got to a point where the industry decided, look, we have to be very safety conscious. And that means that at least if somebody is going to work and he knows he will go and work safely and come back home, that in itself attracts a lot of people to the work. Now, the competition, as we're talking about, has been organized in such a way. There have been 15, 14 mining companies, as she said, gone through the normal, what do you call it? The zonal ones. And 4 of them are now qualified for the finals, which comes on Sunday. We expect people to sit by their TVs on Sunday.
It's the reason why I was asking about public participation, what you're expecting from them. How do you want them to support the process as well?
Well, just sit by your research on in fact, earlier before the COVID, what we used to do was to do this in the communities.
Right.
So that if, for example, this year Ghana Manganese Suta is hosting, all the companies would have assembled there. And then everything would have been done in the community, so that the communities also participate. because of the COVID, but I think we're still thinking of going back to
the
communities for
pre-COVID
next year.
days,
Yeah.
Which you'll be doing. Yeah. So Adelaide, for you, what would you like the public to know about, safety and as we look forward to the competition?
Okay, so sorry. So for the public now, what we want them to do is it's a form of creating awareness, people to learn first aid. We realize in our world, part of the world, this is lacking. So this certain by their TV, at least one would learn how to respond to certain emergencies. And this will be helpful in our various homes. And as Nana said, we're doing it in the host communities to benefit the traditional people within the mining catchment area to learn. But we are now bringing it to the larger populations to also know what we are doing.
Nana, and for the mining communities, beyond just carrying out this quiz competition and all of that, what more activities are you putting in place to create more awareness on the safety issues?
In fact, we have even safety brigades among the communities, which are organized by the mining companies, and we catch them very young, right from the beginning, start teaching. Training. A lot of times an accident occurs, and before people are even transferred from the accident spot to the hospital, they are already gone. It means that first aid is very, very important. And that is why we lay so much emphasis on what should be done immediately, after, say, there's an accident or an outrage, something like that. What should be done? And that is very important to sustain the people. Yes.
Would you recommend that this be replicated in schools, in churches, just as a way of creating more awareness?
Yes, in fact, that is the larger way we're looking at it. But from the beginning, it's been getting a lot of support from the communities, especially when we had a community safety teams also participating. They were also also participating in contests, so that we come out with a community which is far better than all the others. Yeah.
To add to what Nana is saying, currently we also have the student-based one.
Okay.
So they write essay pertaining to mining activities, their effects on them, and how they can also learn about the mining operations. So that's part of this competition that that will come on this Sunday.
This Sunday, okay.
So we also have the lower school children, that is the basic level, partaking in it as well.
Any special focus on women as well? Because we know that they care the more, isn't it? Do you have any plans for that on that?
Okay, yes. So when you look at the student one that we do, the community, most of the time the population, the number of people that we get, women to men, we have the women more than the, yes. Because I think we are more interested in caring for people, yes, and we have that empathy more than.
Yeah, we also do sometimes. Right. Okay. So, what would be the final words, Nana, to our viewers and to the general public, what they need to know?
Yes, there are a lot of safety things. Probably, I will just give one tip. One tip, safety tip.
That's very important.
Yeah. Well, these days now, everybody's using mobile phones. And what intrigues me so much is that people go to filling stations.
Yes.
And they use their mobile phones there. And in fact, even with their cars running, whilst they are refueling, it's a tip that we're trying to give to people that from now on, I think it's very important that once you go to a filling station to fill, just switch off your engine, and then don't even if you have a call, just leave it.
What are the risks associated with that? Because a lot of people don't know about it.
Yes, because it can really trigger,
any explosion.
Yes, fire this thing. That is why we're very, very careful about that. So at least it's a safety tip that we would like to communicate.
And I tell you what, this National Intermines First Aid competition, you need to be watching because you'll be learning a lot more as Nana is putting out. Adelaide, any final words to our viewers?
Okay, so my final words to our viewers is first care, first responder is very key in every incident scenario or situation. So we all watch, get the basic knowledge that you can apply in your various homes.
Okay, I'm grateful. Nana Ando, who is an environmental consultant to the Ghana Chamber of Mines, and also Adelaide Youngson, occupational health and supply Safety Superintendent at Precious Mining Ghana Limited. I'm grateful that you've spent some time with us. We're looking forward to the National Intermines First Aid and Safety Competition, and of course, you'll be learning a lot more about this. Time now to talk about some other developments because the youth of Garo and Timpani in the Upper East region are demanding an unqualified apology from the Ministry of National Security and the Ghana Armed Forces for the brutality meted out to civilians in the two districts at dawn on Sunday. A joint press conference in the Garo community. The youth also demanded a full-scale investigation into the incident. According to them, some personal belongings of some of the civilians were taken away from them and must be returned. Emmanuel Isaka spoke on behalf of the community.
These unprofessional military men claim that some alleged foreign national security operatives who were in Garu on an official assignment. Bare-faced falsehood peddled by the Ministry of National Security. Ladies and gentlemen, permit us to set the record straight on some falsehood and half-truth peddled by the Ministry of National Security in their 29th October press release. 1. The Ministry of National Security claimed that the irate youth attacked the vehicle when the officers were seated in the Land Cruiser vehicle with registration number GS 7520-22, which was removed and kept aside the vehicle. This is not accurate. The record should reflect that the officers were not in the vehicle, but rather inside the police station at the time the unknown assailants fired gunshots into the vehicle. The claim by the Minister of National Security that the officers sought refuge at the Garu police station is wholly inaccurate, and yet another attempt to create disaffection for the people of Garu and Timpani. It was rather the vigilant youth who requested that the claimed officers go with them from their hideout to the police station to authenticate their identity. If the Minister of National Security claimed that their barbaric act and unprofessional conduct was to retrieve the weapons used in attacking the vehicle, at least the DCEs were present at the time of the torture. We ask, where are the seized weapons? Yes, there are no single reported incident of the retrieval of weapons from any of the homes invaded. We ask, did the Minister of National Security and the military invade and visit such heinous crimes on the people of Wale Wale when a VIP bus that loaded passengers from Kumasi was burned into ashes at the Wale Wale police station? No! Why the people of Garu and Timpani? Oh, start. Okay. On Tuesday, background to the issue.
Well, some youth of Garu and Timpani have also been expressing their frustration and making some demands of government.
Going to take the laws into our hands, but we will not come out as workers in the town whilst we are being beaten, whilst our items are taken from us, whilst our leaders are still in police custody and we don't even know where they are whereabouts.
Yes, for us.
The whole of Ghana, if it is really true that those boys they have arrested and airlifted them to Accra are really militants, as the whole country is speculating, the cause of our land will speak for us. The second one had to do with the arms. The whole country is spreading lies about the people of Garu, the good people of Garu, that we have taken 2 arms. If it is true The cost of our land in this country, not Ghana alone, the whole of the cost of the land of the whole of Ghana will speak for us.
We're checking out to Parliament because the Speaker of the House, Alban Bagbin, has ordered a parliamentary probe into the Akosombo Dam spillage that has left thousands of residents in at least 7 regions displaced and properties running into millions of cities destroyed. A section of the public has criticized the Volta River Authority, which undertook the spillage for not sensitizing the affected communities enough due to the incidents that we've seen within the community. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante now reports on the latest.
Parliament had been on recess all this period whilst several communities had been taken over by the floods caused by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. Whilst the human suffering in these communities continue, Parliament is now set to take some action on their behalf. Minority Leader Dr. Kiselato Fosen, in his welcome remarks, announced his side was going to file a private member's motion to demand a probe.
In the last few weeks, Mr. Speaker, we have witnessed arguably the biggest man-made disaster to ever befall our nation. I am referring to the devastation caused by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam by the Volta River Authority. Mr. Speaker, as Minority Caucus, our hearts bleed for all the victims of this man-made disaster, which has rendered several thousands of people homeless and swept away farms, destroyed livelihood of many people in parts of Oti region, Volta region, Eastern region, Greater Accra region, Bono East, Savannah, and Northern regions. Mr. Speaker, the affected communities and regions have yet to recover from the aftermath of this disaster. The conduct of both the government and the Volta River Authority in terms of leading a coordinated emergency response and disaster relief effort leaves much to be desired. Right Honourable Speaker, I conclude by saying that we hereby serve notice that we will present a motion to demand a parliamentary inquiry into the circumstances that led to a man-made disaster of such magnitude.
The Majority Leader Oseichi Mensah-Bonsu focused on the politicization of the floods but insisted the VRA must be brought before MPs to answer questions.
The House may have to invite the VRA to brief us on the situation relating to the spillage and all other connected matters. Mr. Speaker, I believe the Minister responsible for water resources and indeed energy as well. It is scary, Mr. Speaker, the extent some Ghanaians, including some MPs, go to politicize every single event in this country. As MPs, one of our core responsibilities is to inform and by that educate the citizenry.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has now ordered that the House conducts an inquiry into the floods and the VRA's actions.
It is unacceptable that an activity as potentially destructive as dam spillage was done without a well thought through security and safety preparedness plan. As such, Parliament will take the necessary action to inquire into the matter and make recommendations for the protection of property and lives living along the Volta River and Lake and other settlements along riverbeds. Honourable members, this is a national assignment and Parliament should be seen to be leading in finding solutions to this somehow perennial problem confronting the nation.
It is not clear which form exactly this probe that has been ordered by the Speaker will take, but it will normally come in 2 forms. Either a special committee will be constituted with members from either side of the House to look into these matters, or an existing standing committee will be asked to look into these matters. But of course, it must be put on record that the NDC MPs have had some strong words for the Volta River Authority, which they say have spearheaded this man-made disaster in the Volta region. But one thing that has stood out in this matter on the floor of the House is that both sides have spoken about the need for government and other individuals to move in to restore life to normalcy. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Asante there with the latest. Honor to the Sisala East municipality because the Chief Executive, Hussaini Yakubu Baton, has expressed worry over the increasing rate of stillbirth and teenage pregnancy cases recorded in the municipality. He indicates that stillbirth cases rose from 4.9 to 5.9 and teenage pregnancy fell from 10 to 9.7 in the year under review. Hussaini Yakubu Baton expressed the worry at the second ordinary meeting of the Assembly in Tumu. Rafiq Salam reports.
The second ordinary meeting of the Sisala East Municipal Assembly is the last for this current Assembly before the district level election are held in December. Presiding member of the Sisala East Municipal Assembly, Noah Sumela, says the ball rolling for the meeting, urging members to approve the budget of the Assembly to enable it be in sync with the national budget.
We are obliged as an Assembly to look at plans, projects, programs, activity within the municipality, adjust or otherwise of the fees that Assembly deem it necessary to generate revenue for the municipality, and also to consider some budget which is composite budget that is supposed to be fed into the national budget, which Finance Minister will be putting before Parliament, hopefully in the middle of next month, which begins tomorrow. It is our obligation to also get the budget approved at our municipal level so that these figures can be harmonized in the national budget for us to also benefit from any form of project or programs that is likely to emanate from the central government to the municipal level.
Sisala East Municipal Chief Executive Hussaini Yakubu Baton used the opportunity to enumerate some success stories under the period in review in the various sectors.
At 93.3%, which is above the set target of 60% for the year. This was achieved through the deployment of midwives to chief schools and improvement in monitoring and delivery services. However, it is sad to note that our stillbirth rate rose from 4.9 to 5.9, and teenage pregnancy rate fell from 10 to 9.7.
Yarva was not happy with the increasing rate of stillbirth and teenage pregnancy. Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Amidu Isaku, who also doubles as a member of Parliament for the Sisala East constituency, urged them to pursue development for the municipality devoid of partisanship, religion, or ethnicity.
Let's pursue development for this municipality devoid of partisan politics, devoid of religion, and any other sectionalism. When it comes to development, let's focus on what we do for the municipality. When it is time for campaign, we can go to our various parties and talk for our parties. But at the assembly level, let's be together, let's work together, let's support each other, so that collectively we can pursue development for the Sisala East municipality. If we are divided, we can achieve very little. But if we are together, whatever be the case, we are able to do something better for the municipality. So,
reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Tumu.
And you're still with us here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We are taking a break. We'll be right back. Please stay. And thanks for staying with us here on the Joy News channel. The Students' Loan Trust Fund is urging employers to deduct directly from source the loans access by students while at school. It comes as the trust fund laments beneficiaries are defaulting in their payments. The question is, how do they plan to ensure that this is enforced? And it's the reason for which we want to bring in Rosemary J, I believe, Ayi, and also she's the head of Repayment Resources Mobilization Directorate, and also Enoch Asimado is granting is Manager Enforcement at the Student Loan Trust. Thank you all for spending some time with us. Ladies first, right? Shall we? It's been a challenge for you, I believe, because I recall speaking to some of the officials at the Student Trust, and the sense I get is people are zealous about getting the funds, but then when they get it, repayment becomes a challenge. Why is that the case?
Well, you know that it is said that the lips that borrows the money, it's not the same lips that is used to pay.
Right.
Getting the money is easy, paying is always not so easy. But we must say that recovery isn't too bad at all. We're doing very good student loan recovery. However, what we have observed is that since we started loan recovery, we have adopted a soft approach with employers. We have spoken, gently cajoling them to pay. But over the years, from 2011 to date, we realized that it is time to actually bite, because we have some 50% of employers who are taking the mickey out of the soft glove that we are adopting. And so we have commenced an enforcement and compliance drive on employers.
So ideally, what does the law state about, repayment after you've taken the loan?
The law states very clearly in Act 820, Section 24, that employers, upon employing anybody, you need to inquire whether the person took a student loan. If it's a yes, you deduct and you disburse to us. If it is a no, yes, that is where the story ends. But if you deduct, you do need to send it to us within 15 days of deduction. If not, then there are penalties that accrue for not deducting and also for not paying. This is clearly spelled out in the Section 24 of Act 820.
Let's talk about the nature of the exercise you intend to carry, just to try and retrieve some of the funds. How do you intend to carry out that exercise?
Okay. So, per procedure, it starts with sending demand notice to the employers. And so we follow up with calls, we follow up with emails. And so if we get to a point, we need to activate the law. Now we've engaged the police that is currently engaging the employers. So the police has invited the employers and then engaging them. Now they are giving them a lifeline to come up and then make payments. So if they fail to do the payments, then we activate the procedure.
Is it the case that, because I'm just wondering, as an employer, how do I know, well, this my employee has gone in for a student's loan and is unwilling to pay? How do you go about identifying these people and telling the employers about it?
Okay, all right. So student loan is a data controller.
Right.
And so we control data, and then we have systems that's able to, expose, where, who is working. And so once we have access to this information, and we write to you, that's the initial process. We write to you, based on the information we have, the intelligence that we have, we write to you that Mr. A is working with you. He's a beneficiary of Student Loan Trust Fund. At the time, he was in school. And so it is time for you to make deductions and make payments. And so that's where it starts from.
Rosemary, the idea about, how rampant this has become and the kind of cases that you're dealing with, how bad is the situation now as we speak?
We wouldn't say bad as in bad, because we have some 50% of employers complying. So it's just about, the other 50 that are playing hardball. So yes, we need to recover the monies because the increase, the demand for loans has increased.
Right.
With the national policy on free SHS, with the national policy on closing the gap and making education accessible to all, the demand for loans has greatly increased.
Right.
And we need to recover these monies so we can turn it around and give to other beneficiaries to also pursue.
Because, people are not looking at it that way. Some feel, well, I've just gone in for my share. You can also walk in and go for yours. But they don't understand that you need the money back to, give to other people.
We need the money back because the fund needs to be sustained. Yeah. And if we don't collect the money back, then someone else is going to be denied the opportunity of pursuing a tertiary education. So this is a call to all employers and to all Ghanaians that you need to actually pay back your student loan. And if you're an employer, one of the challenges the employees think they experience is one of consent. Employers do not need consent to deduct student loan because the consent question is cured in the process of a borrower informing an employer right from the onset of employment that they took student loan, and an employer requesting a borrower to confirm that. So the question about consent is cured. It doesn't exist at all. So when we trace a borrower to an employer, we demand the money. And we do not accept any excuse.
Is it easier collecting these funds from the public, someone who's employed in the public sector than, those in the private sector?
Definitely. The public sector is more structured, and so it's easier, than informal sector where people don't have the financial and administrative structures to do the deductions and pay on to us. But we have ensured that payment platforms are available, several payment platforms. EcoBank, GCB, ADB, NIB, Momo, GT Bank, .gov, and PayAngel is a remittance.
You can use all the platforms.
You can use all the platforms. .gov is the one of the most recent and widely spread. And in the convenience of your office, you just log on to the Student Loan Employer Portal, and you can sit in your office, access your employees who owe us, and you make the payment through Momo or through any of the banks without rising up from your desk.
I think they can also come to your office and pay. But
Definitely.
What reforms are you on the lookout for, or are you rolling out now just to improve the system based on what you've experienced with the past student loan beneficiaries?
Okay, so like my boss has just said, we are introducing these new reforms. You don't even have to walk to the bank even to make payments before you can satisfy this obligation on you. You can sit in the comfort of your office. You log on to the mygh.com. We have the employer portal. You can also log on from the comfort of your office. Even from there, you can get access to Momo and pay. You don't even have to make some physical, movements to the bank and other stress that comes on you. So from the comfort of your office, you are able to pay, and then things are easier for you.
Indeed. You want to add the last point on that?
The last point I want to add is that employers need to deduct and pay. This is an obligation that has been imposed on them by law. You don't need to be part of any contract for you to discharge this obligation. Typically, if you look at tax, GRE, pay as you earn, if you look at SNIT, pensions, employers do not need to validate a contract between the employee and the SNIT or GRE before they make deductions and pay. These are statutory duties. These are duties imposed by law. And so you only have to abide by it. It requires strict compliance. The same thing is happening to Student Loan Trust Fund. It's a primary act that is demanding strict compliance from employers. And so as they do for GRA, as they do for SNIT, they need to do that for.
Indeed, and we must send that message out. You need to pay up your loan if you're owing. And of course, I'm grateful to Rosemary and Enoch for spending some time with us. But this conversation will definitely continue. You can just go online and make sure that you make that payment to the Student Loan Trust Fund. But that's all time will allow us here on The Pulse. With me, Blessed Oga. You can just log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates on all of our stories for you. Next, it's Let's Talk Showbiz. Thanks for your time.